أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول النبي الكريم أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So today's topic is about the benefits of milk, but this is not just the regular milk, but this in specific I'll be speaking about the benefits of raw milk, the unpasteurized milk. First, I'll begin with a few verses from the Quran and Hadith, and then we will continue with the main topic. So, in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "And verily in the cattle there is indeed a lesson for you. We give you to drink milk of that which is in their bellies, and there are in them numerous other benefits for you, and of them you eat." And in another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "There emerges from their bellies a drink, varying in colors, in which there is healing for people. Indeed, in that is a sign for people who give a thought." Just a second. I think my baby just woke up, so I'm going to bring my baby here. You can pause the recorder till then. Milk, even in the Quran, and when we think about Jannah, when we read the description of Jannah, we read about having rivers of honey, wine, and milk. So it is something which is a symbol of purity, and that is why it's promised in abundance even in the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, "Here is a parable of the garden which the righteous have been promised. In it are rivers of water incorruptible, rivers of milk which the taste never changes, rivers of wine, a joy for those who drink, and rivers of honey, pure and clear." Now, when we come to the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned a number of hadiths, out of which I'll be quoting a few. I need to go to my notes for that, just a second. So the first one being, where is it? It's not here. Just a second. Ibn Masud radiallahu anhu narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Treat yourselves with the milk of cows. I hope that Allah will make it a cure for every disease, because the cows eat from all sorts of plants." In another narration, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Allah has not created a sickness, but that He has created a cure for it, except for old age. So drink of the milk of cows, because they eat from all sorts of plants." And in a third narration, the Prophet ﷺ said that raise cows because their milk is a cure from diseases and their butter is a medication. Now, coming back to, just a second, I have everything scattered today, so I need to go back to my. Okay, so we see from these narrations that the Prophet ﷺ actually taught us that milk is a form of healing. Now, we've been drinking milk for years and years and years, but it's just like a glass which we swallow up and we don't realize what is in it. But if you see the latest studies that have been done on raw milk, because this milk that the Prophet ﷺ is talking about is raw milk. It's not the pasteurized milk that we get from the stores. So if we see the studies that have been done on this type of milk, there are a number of benefits that people have discovered, and even some of the diseases have been cured just with raw milk, just with it's called the raw milk diet. If you Google it, you'll find out details about it, about how one can actually cure themselves from just plain milk. But this, again, it depends on the quality of milk from where you get your milk, and inshallah we will be discussing about because some people freak out when they think about drinking fresh raw milk because of the contamination issues, salmonellosis that can take place and stuff like that. So that's why I'm going to break up this lecture into different parts so that we can discuss each topic separately. So it just depends on how it goes. Coming back now, first, the difference between what is pasteurized milk and what is raw milk. Now, when we speak about pasteurized milk, what exactly does it mean? When I say raw milk, what I mean is milk that is freshly squeezed out of a cow, and then you directly either drink it or you store it in a refrigerator. It stays for about 10 days. Since it's fresh and raw, it stays for about 10 days. Max to max, you can go up to 14 days if you like really put on a very low temperature. But otherwise, usually the milk does not last long because it's fresh. Whereas pasteurization is a process in which the milk is heated to a certain temperature, I think around 160 degrees Fahrenheit. It's heated for about 15 to 30 seconds, and then it's cooled down. and then it's put into the cartons or the bottles, and then it's put for sale in the stores. But the raw milk usually is not going to last. It does not have a long shelf life. So, and the reason why pasteurization came about, it's like I think I'll have to go into the details of it because some people might be interested in that. So first, what is pasteurization? It's heating the milk to a certain temperature, which is 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and then cooling it down. This process destroys the enzymes that are present in the milk, and those enzymes are essential for you to digest the milk correctly. And this whole issue of lactose intolerance and dairy-free diets and all of this came up because we're not really drinking the correct type of milk. Now, for a mass sale production, this pasteurization was very beneficial, because otherwise how would people sell milk far away? How would you keep the milk storing for a long time? So there is a debate about whether it destroys everything in the milk or whether it just destroys some of the nutrients of the milk. But there is something which is ultra pasteurization. And in ultra pasteurization, the milk is not heated to 161 degrees, but rather it's heated to around 200 degrees, where that's a higher temperature. And in that, literally everything is destroyed. And so this increases the shelf life of the milk to 3 months. That's why you see the milk that you buy in cartons, in the cardboard boxes type of milk. That milk, if you see the expiry date of that milk, it's around 3 months. So imagine that milk is lying on that shelf. And sometimes I've also seen milk which is not stored in the refrigerator. It's like just outside. And then they ask you to put it in the refrigerator after opening, right? So this, now imagine this is something which you're drinking and it's lying there in that box for like 3 months. So imagine, or maybe it will lie for the next 2 months. So this is literally, some people call this as a dead food, because it's been, the enzymes have been destroyed, the beneficial properties of the milk have been destroyed. And we will be doing, inshallah, the details about this, just so that the ones who are interested, you can be convinced about the superiority of the raw milk over the pasteurized milk. Now, why, when, and how did this pasteurization come in place? If somebody is interested in the Q&A, inshallah, I will do that in detail. About, in short, if I have to explain, it happened in the olden days, people had raw milk, right? About till the 1880s, because that's when pasteurization started by Louis Pasteur. But before that, people had regular raw milk. But what happened was, because of the urbanization, people moved from the farm areas to the city areas, and that's when there was a huge outbreak of diseases that was spread because of contaminated milk. And as a result of that, the solution to that was pasteurizing the milk. So rather than not having the milk at all, they had the option of having the milk, but we have it in a good sanitary condition. So at that time, it was extremely beneficial for people to save them from these foodborne illnesses and diseases. But in today's time, the farming conditions have changed. The hygiene conditions, I don't know about, I can't speak for the East, but at least in the West, the farming practices are very different and they're very clean. And this is only if it's not conventional. The conventional could still have issues because they have a huge herd which is living together, and we don't know how they treat their animals. But if you are aware of a local farm and you know that the farm is under hygienic conditions, because usually they will not have their license if they have an outbreak from their farm. So usually these kind of local farmers, they have good quality, high quality, clean milk, which is completely safe to drink, and you will feel more confident if you know that the farmer or his family is having that same milk. Like when I got my first time when I got my raw milk, I asked the lady, do you drink this and do your kids drink this? And she was like, yeah, we've been drinking this for years. So then you can trust that farmer or the person you're getting the milk from. So again, it's all about being confident in what you're consuming, because it shouldn't be that you just go and buy it from any random place and then drink it raw. You have to be sure of where you're getting your milk from. So this was about the pasteurization, why it was useful during that time. And the difference, I think I have a picture of, I'm not sure if it's on the screen, but there is a huge difference in the quality content of the two types of milk. Now we'll do that, inshallah, in detail towards the Q&A if you're interested. I'm going to go to the benefits of raw milk that we should be aware of. So the majority of the milk proteins are made of casein, which can help maintain healthy blood pressure and increase the absorption of minerals, probiotics. Raw milk is rich in healthy bacteria that can benefit your digestive system. Raw milk contains various enzymes that help you improve your digestion of nutrients from other foods. Omega-3. There's research that has discovered that raw milk contains 62% more omega-3 fats and 25% fewer of omega-6 fats compared to conventional milk. Milk is one of the most well-known sources of calcium, a mineral that can help promote stronger bones and teeth. Furthermore, calcium from cow's milk is easily absorbed by our bodies. And then lastly, the vitamins and the minerals. Milk, raw milk is one of the foods that literally is, if you have it, you're almost getting all of your nutrition from, because it contains most of your vitamins like vitamin A, B, C, D, E, K, along with minerals such as magnesium, phosphorus, iron, and all of which that can help enhance your health. So when we speak about vitamin C and all of these delicate ones and the enzymes, these are usually destroyed during pasteurization. Whereas the other nutrients, I'm going to post on the screen. I don't think I've put it up on the screen, the picture. Let me see. Okay, yeah, here's the difference between raw milk versus conventional milk. So you can see in the under the section of raw milk, you have everything showing 100% active, whereas in the section of pasteurized milk, you can see the amount of reduction in the certain nutrients that are mentioned there. And you can see that in the enzymes, it says 100% destroyed. The immunoglobulin, just like breast milk, when we give breast milk to our newborns, it's something that is nutritious and it has immunoglobulins, it has enzymes. It is extremely. But imagine you take breast milk and boil it and give it to somebody, or you heat it to a high temperature and then give it to your baby. So you're literally ruining the food, right? You're ruining that milk. So similarly, when it comes to cow's milk or goat's milk or any animal milk, it's the same thing, because when you put heat on it, you're destroying its nutritional properties. I'm just going to read this paragraph that I have here. Grass-fed organic milk tends to be yellowish and not pure white. The coloration comes from the natural antioxidant carotenoids found in the grass, which is a precursor to vitamin A. When cows are raised on dried grass or hay, opposed to fresh growing grass, you end up with a whiter product, which is an indication of reduced carotenoid and an antioxidant content. Raw milk yogurt is also very thick and creamy compared to the pasteurized commercial varieties. Interestingly, high-quality raw organic milk has its own built-in immune system of sorts. The elevated white blood cell count in raw milk actually helps reduce your risk of contracting food poisoning. Similarly, the microorganisms found in raw milk cheese effectively limit the growth of potentially harmful organisms. Pasteurized milk and cheese do not have these protective quality, which helps explain why they pose a far greater threat than raw milk and cheese when it comes to food poisoning. That's because you see the bacteria, the good bacteria are destroyed. So that's why when you have pasteurized milk that is left out, the regular milk which is left out on your for more than a certain number of hours, it can get spoiled. Whereas raw milk will never get spoiled, even if you leave it out for some time. It will just turn a little bit sour, but it won't be harmful for your health if you consume. Whereas the regular milk, if you leave it out, it can be dangerous for your health. Pasteurizing milk also destroys enzymes. It diminishes the vitamins, denatures fragile milk proteins, destroys vitamin B12 and vitamin B6. It kills the beneficial bacteria and promotes the growth of pathogens. Whereas the raw milk, it contains healthy bacteria that are beneficial for your gastrointestinal tract and beneficial raw fats, amino acids, and proteins in highly bioavailable form, all 100% digestible. More than 60 digestive enzymes, growth factors, and immunoglobulins. These enzymes are destroyed during pasteurization, making pasteurized milk harder to digest. Vitamins A, B, C, D, E, and K in highly, so this is the benefits of the raw milk. And it also has a balanced blend of minerals such as calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, iron, whose absorption is enhanced by live lactobacilli. Now, phosphatase is an enzyme that aids and assists in the absorption of calcium in your bones, and lipase enzyme, which helps to hydrolyze and absorb the fat. So basically, if we lose out these enzymes, and even the calcium which you're getting from the milk is not really going to be absorbed by your body. So it's like just drinking something and getting it out of your body without really benefiting from it. Because these enzymes, they aid in the absorption of the other minerals that are present in certain types of foods. Now coming to, let me see what is next. Okay, so there are a few articles here now that I'm going to open up. Just a second. I'm just going to open up the link and then we can start the. Okay, if you look at the picture on the screen right now, till I just open up my link over here. Just a second. If you look at the picture there, this is a picture of raw milk, which you will not see in, yeah, the picture which you see on the screen. This is a picture of raw milk, which is not the same as if you pour pasteurized milk or the conventional milk from the stores in a container. The line that you see there, the top is the milk. So usually this cream is extremely, you make the butter and the ghee and all of that stuff. And to distinguish good quality milk, you will see a thicker layer of cream on top of the milk. So if you want to know whether your milk is of good quality or not, this is how it looks. It has this thick demarcation. The top part is the cream and the bottom is the milk part. That's the hadith on the screen regarding the healing property of milk. Okay, I'm just going to read what's written on the screen here. Raw unpasteurized milk is essentially produced from cows that are raised in an open pasture free from herbicides and other toxic chemicals that can negatively affect the final product. That being said, the appearance of grass-fed organic milk is quite different. It is usually yellowish in color and not pure white. Okay, this I already mentioned, so I'm not going to repeat that. It's the same thing. The most commonly asked questions about raw milk. There's the answer. Just a second, my baby is acting out of it. You can pause the recording for some time. I come back. There's a question, is raw milk safe to drink? So there's the answer. The important thing to consider here is the quality of the product and how it's made. The cow needs to be healthy and organically raised in a pasture to help minimize the amount of toxic herbicides and pesticides. When they say whether it's safe to drink or not, what they really mean is the sanitary conditions. Like if the cow is healthy, then obviously your milk is going to be healthy. Whereas if the cow is sick, then that's when your milk will be affected. So usually the local farmers, when their cows are sick, they don't sell that milk. And they're very particular about the fact that because you know what, if they do find an outbreak from these local farms, their license can be taken away. So it's obvious that they will go out of their way to see to it that their milk is of good quality. How long does raw milk last? It can last anywhere between 7 to 10 days. I've noticed that usually beyond 7 days, it goes sour. So you could take 7 as the demarcation line, but it must be kept at an optimal temperature of 36 to 38 degrees Fahrenheit. If the temperature goes higher than the recommended range, the naturally occurring lactobacilli will start producing lactic acid faster, resulting in a sour flavor until the milk becomes spoiled. So it doesn't mean that if the milk has gotten sour, it's bad to drink. But yes, you would want to take the safer side and not, consume milk that is beyond 7 days. Okay, now I'm going to change the pictures on the screen and put the next ones. Can you freeze raw milk to prolong its lifespan? Yes, you can. The reason why people usually ask about freezing is because um, sometimes you don't have a farm that is close to your place. So usually you would have to go there once in a, once in 2 weeks or once in 3 weeks, sometimes even once in a month. So that's when you can buy the milk in bulk, freeze it, and then use it. Raw milk has been wrongfully demonized. Okay, so you can just store this screenshot for those who are worried about falling sick because of drinking. And when I'm speaking about drinking raw milk, what I mean is without heating, because I think in India and in the eastern parts of the world, usually people they boil the milk here. But when I actually spoke to the local farmers here, they all mentioned that they don't, if you're boiling the milk, you're destroying the enzyme. So they were like surprised, why would you boil the milk? But of course here the sanitary conditions are different compared to back home. So if it is safer for you to boil it, then you can go ahead and boil it. At least it's not like the pasteurized or the ultra pasteurized milk that's in the store. But here usually when they buy fresh milk, they don't recommend boiling it. And just for on a side note, it's illegal in most Western countries to sell raw milk on a large scale. So if you're living in the West, you might not find raw milk easily unless you're living in California, where they sell it on like in the stores. Whereas most parts of the West, they don't really sell raw milk in the stores. It's usually they allow it to be bought from local farmers at your own risk, but you will never be able to go to a store and buy raw milk. And the reason is again because of the safety precautions that they need to take. So if you read this page, it discusses about um, the details as to, like, if you want me to read it, I'll read it. Unfortunately, raw milk and cheese have been wrongly demonized as hazardous, primarily by the conventional dairy industry and those who do not understand the health benefits of live foods. And then the whole description about FDA and CDC. There have been no reported deaths from raw milk in California because that's the place where raw milk is usually sold on a large scale. So there's no case where there has been any death because of raw milk consumption. The two deaths the CDC lists as being related to raw milk were actually due to illegal Mexican bathtub cheese and not raw milk produced in the US. This is just defending the whole concept of raw milk not being dangerous. Then this is to be safe, raw dairy cows must be raised on pasture. And then I think I'm going to keep maybe the next session about the different benefits that raw milk has. Like if you see this picture here that I've posted, kids who drink raw milk have less asthma and allergies. And if you see this page here, again, it gives the details of the same article that I posted before. Raw milk is rich in beneficial raw fats, amino acids, and proteins in a highly bioavailable form. Because sometimes what happens is the food may have on its carton written ingredients, and it can have all of the, you might read vitamin A, vitamin D, E, K, whatever the vitamins are. It has this, it has that. But the question is your body consuming it? Is your body absorbing it? So all the fortified types of food that are there, which like cereals, for example, they're fortified. But how do we know that our body is actually absorbing those minerals or vitamins? So that's why when we eat real food, we can be confident that this is something that Allah created naturally. So this is what I'm going to consume, and my body is going to absorb it because that's how Allah created our bodies and the food that we're supposed to feed our body. Whereas if you're having artificially, fortified foods and all, I'm not really sure. I don't know about the details because I haven't read about it, but it's more natural for your body to absorb real foods than to just pick up something artificial and thinking that you are actually getting your nutrition from something which is not real. So that's the whole difference between having pure food and not so pure food. So I'm going to go through my links here that I have, and I can do the details if you ask me those questions in the Q&A, because I don't want the lecture to be like extremely long, so we can keep the lecture to the basic. And if you have any more questions which you want of details of, I can answer in the Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can post it there. Then I'm just opening some pages here. And if you want, Sister Sarah, you can actually pause the recording when there's a pause so that the lecture doesn't go on beyond, a certain time. So it's easier for the listeners. So you see a question pop up, you can resume the recording that time. Just if that's easy. If it's not easy, then it's fine. Oh yeah, I had a few pictures about. If you have any questions, you can post them in the chat session. The next session, I think I would be doing. It'll be the continuation of dairy products, but it will be, I think, maybe the importance of ghee, butter, clarified butter, and then kefir, which I'm looking forward to discussing in this session, because many sisters had asked me questions about what is kefir and about kefir grains and stuff. We will do that inshallah in the next session. So we can pause the recording for now. Sister Sarah, if you can pause the recording till they come up with questions. Or then you want to edit it. I think she's not really here. She's just kept it on. Yes, will you discuss how to make kefir? Yes. We will do, the session on kefir will be just kefir. So it's going to be everything about kefir, the health benefits of kefir, how do you buy your kefir grains, how do you store them, how do you make the kefir, the different types of ways of consuming kefir, because it's not very easy to consume it as it is, since it's got a sour flavor. So the different recipes that you can try. Also, I had a page here about, let me see if I can post it. Oh yes, I forgot to mention this. There was this article that I was reading, and the sister who's written this article, she mentions that she attended a seminar a couple of months back on curing tooth decay. She went in with the intention of, taking care of her teeth. And the speaker there, you can Google, you can YouTube him. He is Ramiel Najil or something. I'll post the name here. I'll just send you the screenshot of this page that I have here. So he actually describes how your diet can affect your teeth, and how consuming raw milk sincerely can actually reverse cavities. This was something which she, and then she realized about the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said about raw milk being a cure for almost all types of diseases. So she says, I attended the seminar a couple of months back on curing tooth decay, and what I found remarkable about the seminar was how Ramiel Najil spoke about about the healing properties of raw milk. And this is what he said: if the people only will eat nature's food, produced in completely fertile soil, in ample variety, and will drink plenty of whole raw milk produced from fertile pastures, they can avoid toothache and most other aches that commonly plague mankind. And this is coming from a non-Muslim who may have not read the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned to us about milk. So that's why it just shows that everything that the Prophet ﷺ has recommended has immense benefit, be it related to foods, or be it related to ibadah, or be it related to anything else. The whole deen in and of itself, when something is recommended, you might think that you're doing a religious act or you're getting a reward for it, but in reality, it's a benefit for your own soul and for your own body. Then she goes on to say there are hundreds of other benefits of drinking raw milk, and then, as I think I've mentioned all of these benefits already. So, and then again, the extra additional uses, it can be used as a natural moisturizer, and then she's mentioned a way in which you can do that. She says, take some cold raw milk and add a mashed banana, mix it properly, and apply it all over your skin, and wait for 30 minutes. After that, wash your face with water. That helps in moisturizing your skin. And also, again, she's given a few recipes on hair masks, I'll post that on the screen if those are interested. According to Ayurveda, milk provides special and unique nutrition that cannot be derived from any other type of food. Milk, when digested properly, nourishes all the tissues, promotes balanced emotions, and helps to balance all the centers. And then she's given a few ways. One of the best ways in which you can actually consume your milk is by adding a little bit of turmeric, black pepper, and just a tiny teaspoon maybe of ghee or good quality butter. You won't really taste that in the milk, but that's extremely nutritious. I think I'd mentioned this in one of the previous sessions, and I posted it on the group too, about the combination of turmeric, black pepper, and butter or ghee. And just to add extra flavors, you can add honey, you can add cinnamon, you can add cardamom. Just it's a typical haldi milk which we drink back home. Here now it's called the golden milk in the West. So that's, again, it's something that's come up as a fad. And then again, smoothies is another way. I think I have these pictures, so I'm just going to post these pictures for you on the screen so you can store it. I've not seen the chat session yet, so I'm going to see it. I'm just going to post something and go back to the chat session. Sorry. This one, 2, 3. If you look at the screen, I've mentioned the name there. You can see those who want to listen to the lecture in detail. If you listen to his lecture, you will be completely astonished at how he has mentioned about how raw milk is a cure to many, many diseases. So if you Google his name, it's there on the screen right there, the third line, Ramiel Nagel or Ramiel Nagel, however you pronounce it. If you Google that, and I think even Weston Price, if you just Google all of these names that I'm telling you, you will get all the details. There is also a link, I think I'll post it in the messenger section because I think many people will be interested in that, about how when you start off your newborn kids, when you finish breastfeeding, and instead of introducing them to the pasteurized store-bought milk, when you introduce raw milk into them, like raw goat's milk, they mostly say that the goat's milk is most similar to the breast milk. You're starting off with goat's milk or even just cow's milk, but pure, clean, fresh cow's milk without having all the other risks that come with it. So it's just about taking a little bit of effort, going out of your way to find the right kinds of food. But once you find it, then it's something that you're having every single day of your life. So it's worth the effort if you actually put in that effort to find the correct type of food. The next one, if you see on the screen, that's the recipe for just one of the ways in which you can have your milk. Then the next one is having it this way, just putting in some berries and milk and honey, or even dates. Okay, I'm going to go to the chat session now and check if there are any questions. And how to store it. Yeah, how to store it when on holiday. Yes, all of those questions are going to be covered up in the session on kefir. Is there any other alternative of pasteurized milk for those who live in the Middle East? Here it's difficult to get organic raw milk. So if you don't have the access to pure, raw, fresh, raw milk, then the other option would be to buy non-homogenized pasteurized milk, or the least pasteurized milk that you can get. Because what you should be doing is avoid the ultra pasteurized milk, which is the carton milk. So usually they write on that UT or UHT, something like that, ultra high temperatures. So that is something which you have to completely avoid, the ultra high, the ones which you get in cartons. That one is completely to be avoided. The next, so the after, if no raw milk, the best would be non-homogenized, least pasteurized milk. So I'm not sure if these companies are available there, but there's something called Kelowna milk, which is close to raw milk. It's like, it's not like, it is still pasteurized, but they say that they pasteurize it to the least temperature just so that they can sell it in the market. And it's non-homogenized. So when we say non-homogenized, what it means is it should still be thick. There should be cream in that milk. Homogenized is again when they they mix, I don't know whether they remove it or they mix up the whole milk, so you don't really have any fat layer on top of the milk. But if you buy the non-homogenized pasteurized milk, they usually, in the bottle, you will see that there is a thick layer of cream on the top. So that's the next best option you can have. Then if you're in the West, there is Kalona milk, there is Uberweis, which is Oberweis. I'm not sure if that would be available anywhere else. But it's like you have to look up in your own locality and find out which is the best option that you have. Also, if you're in the Middle East, then the best option would be camel's milk. If you have access to pure fresh camel's milk, because again, there is lots of healing properties that I actually forgot to mention it in my lecture today. But if you Google again the benefits of camel milk, it has a number of benefits, a lot of healing properties in camel milk. So if you're in the Middle East, maybe you can have access to that. Any more questions? Oh, the question says, is camel hot and salty? I'm not sure of that because I haven't really ever tasted camel milk, but I know that it's very beneficial because I remember there was somebody who was suffering from cancer, and I think his video is posted online. Like if you just Google about raw milk cured meat, just if you type of these things, you will see all the videos where people have actually given their own experiences of how they healed with raw milk, with camel's milk, with the different types of raw milks that they've tried. So you can get more details on that. Any more questions? Oh, go down. Okay, so if we don't have questions, we can end today's session. Let me just go through my notes for the last time to see if I've missed anything. Oh yes, if you, I forgot to mention this. I'm going to put it on the screen right now. Just a minute. If you want barakah in your food and especially in your milk, we have a special dua for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We all know the dua, right, about drinking milk. Allahumma barik lana fihi wa zidna minhu. So this is the dua which means, oh Allah, bless it for us and give us more of it, for there is nothing that takes place of both food and drink except milk. I don't know if that continuation is there, but we know the dua, right? So it means, oh Allah, bless it for us and increase it for us. So when we say, oh Allah, bless it for us, maybe even once you start making this dua, while you drink your milk, Allah will increase it. We all know the concept of shukr in Islam, right? Where when we are grateful for something, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts benefit and barakah and increases it for us. So if you're grateful for already what you have, and if you start, because I know when we started making this dua regularly, constantly, that's when we actually got access to raw milk. So I consider maybe it was the barakah from the dua that came, that where you get access to good things. So when we make this dua, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ asked us to ask for barakah and also to increase it because of the beneficial properties of this food. So if we've forgotten the dua, or if you've never made the dua before, this is the time to start making it. And let me see what else I've missed from the notes. I think I've almost covered up the main things. And even before, I was supposed to post something on the group about eggs, but inshallah I will do that. My baby's getting a little cranky today, so I'm gonna end the session now. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.